Stan Lee's Captain Marvel cameo has bold implications for the MCU Polygon. The mysteriousness of Marvel movie cameos, where he can be a humble Earth bus driver, a Xandarian citizen taking in the sights, or a deep space astronaut spinning yarns to a rapt gaggle of watchers, is a frequent source of fan delight and speculation. Is he an immortal? But Lee's posthumous cameo raises questions of equal magnitude all on its own. The appearance gives, excuse us if we go galaxy brain. Captain Marvel is the first MCU movie to hit theaters since Lee's U and Marvel Studios marked the occasion with a new title card logo and animation, replacing the usual images of Marvel heroes with clips of the writer in his Marvel Universe cameos. But Lee's cameo in Captain Marvel is not his first posthumous cameo in a Marvel movie. He voiced it quite, and Captain Marvel won't be his final posthumous cameo, either. Marvel Studios. Now, onto the Captain Marvel cameo itself. Edition note: this post will contain spoilers for Captain Marvel. Lee's cameo happens in the first act of the movie, while our hero storms after a Skrull agent through an LA metro train. Lee appears as a yes, Stan Lee's cameo is one in which he's prepping for another cameo. That's brilliant. The line, "Trust me." Mallrats is filmmaker Kevin Smith's second feature film, released in October of 1995, making it contemporaneous with Captain Marvel sometime in 1995 setting. Late in the film, the comic book-obsessed Brody Bruce Jason Lee has the encounter of a lifetime when he casually runs into Stan Lee outside a lingerie store at his local mall. While Brody this is Lee's most famous film cameo outside of a Marvel project. If you're used to Lee's presence in Mallrats, and Brody's love of his work, are a result and reflection of writer-director Kevin Smith's well-known love of comics. That is, Lee, which raises the question if Mallrats exists in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Stan Lee exists in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Stan Lee still has a cameo in Mallrats in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It could be that he's famous for making comics. It's a little-known fact that a comic book publisher called Marvel Comics the in-universe but in order to license the story of a superhero, that superhero has to exist. And Captain Marvel, he could potentially still be famous for revitalizing licensed Captain America comics for the comics reading audience of the 1960s. Maybe that's even where Coulson's Captain America trading cards came from. But without the rest of so, what is Stan Lee famous for in the MCU if not for making comics? Humor me with this. One of the great fables of the comics world is that Stan Lee was close to quitting Marvel Comics when he co-created the Fantastic Four. Publisher Martin Good, the story goes that, suggested that he write the sort of superhero story he'd like to see. Since he'd been Lee has spoken often about going through a phase in his life where he struggled with feeling that what he did for a living wasn't important or impressive. It's not a stretch, folks. I propose to you that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Brody Bruce is obsessed with contemporary popular literature, and particularly the work of prolific author, Stanley Lieber, who happens to be riding the bus just as Kree warrior Veritax, a Skrull on the LA Metro. Think about it.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.